Entering the Mayo experience.
That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass podcast. This for UFC Fight Night Sacramento, Ladd versus Randamie. I'm Paul Shaughnessy, joined in studio, as always, by Cody Saftic. Coming off of UFC 239, where I got absolutely mollywopped.
I was going to say, you always say joined in studio by Cody Saftic, but after last week, it's like, you might have to think about replacing me, bud, because, oof, yeah, that was a bad card. What can you do? I don't know that.
I feel like every year
we all got whopped.
Suck a big one on fight week, like International Fight Week. I always just shit, like I can't get anything right.
It's just the fights that matter.
Like I remember Eddie Alvarez versus, that was like on the Friday night card, but it was on the Ultimate Fighter finale. I remember Eddie Alvarez versus RDA got absolutely torched on that one.
We saw that one coming.
And yeah, there's a long history of me being very, very sad after American Independence Day weekend.
Had two of those three guys sitting cage side deem that Thiago Santos had somehow won that fight, that would be the cherry on top of how could anybody have profited from this.
I mean, we told people to fade Jones on DraftKings, who only scored 59
yeah,
points.
That worked. But Amanda Nunes crushed Holly Holm with a head kick, so that exactly didn't work out. Luke Rockhold, we knew he was chinny, and he lived up to that.
He continued to be chinny at 205.
And Ben Askren, I won't make any excuses there. Shit happens. This is a fist fight, or apparently a knee to the head fight. And yeah, no, let's move on. That's all you can do in this game. There's basically a card every weekend, so you can't dwell too much.
Take your lumps, move on to the next one. UFC Sacramento, obviously. Here, before we get to any of that, last week's winner, maybe the only winner that came out of last week's program, Davis 410. Congratulations. You are the winner of 20 DK dollars.
20 DK dollars.
This week, what you got to do is give the episode a like. Leave your DK handle. And Cody?
If you watch this show in any capacity, you should know by now that Aspen Ladd is my bebe. So for this week's question, who is your bebe? There's a lot of options. I mean, people like Paige Van Zandt, people like Rachel Ostovich, people like Andrea Lee. Depends what your thing is. The Karate Hottie. People are all over. Michelle Watterson. So, you know, I used to have a thing for Joanne Calderwood. The half-shaved head kind of threw me off. I know you are not a fan.
Mine.
Oh, I've had talks with Paul Shaughnessy.
I'm not in on that.
The half-shaved, don't even bring it up in Paul's presence. Again, who is your bebe? It could be anybody. It could be something nobody sees coming. Like, I believe deep down that Tatiana Suarez is Paul's bebe. Sure, she'd manhandle him, but who wouldn't she manhandle? So I'll leave it at that. Leave it in the comment section, plus a like, plus your DK handle.
She also follows me on Twitter.
Need I say any more?
Need
I say no? I don't want to say I was creepy in some pictures, but she got like corrective eye surgery done, and she was like, I refuse to miss time at the gym, so she like posted her hitting pads, motherfucking blindfolded, and I was like, all right, I finally got a chance now that she's blind. And
I remember that. Now are you blocked?
Nah, I'm not blocked. I just I'll leave it at that.
So yeah, give the episode a like, leave your DK handle, and who is your baby?
Yeah, last thing I want to throw
guy or girl, if you're whatever.
Yeah,
you know, it's 2019.
The last thing I want to throw on there is that Aspen Ladd's like 22, 23. I started following her. She was like 19, 20. I was like in my mid-20s. I'm only 27 now, about to turn 28, sadly enough. You can never go back. You can never go back in time. Anyways, I've always felt weird about it. Like she was borderline young, and now she's kicking ass in the UFC. I'm happy to support her, but yeah, let's jump into it because she's going to need some support here, I believe.
Yep, she takes on Germaine de Randamie in the main event of UFC Sacramento. 8,900 Ladd. De Randamie is 7,300, minus 165 and plus 145 respectively. From a look around the industry, everybody is on de Randamie. Are you?
No, I'm going to roll with Ladd, but I fully understand that it's going to be a difficult spot. And I fully understand if you get a good price on de Randamie, then, you know, maybe that's worth your play. She's got a lot of issues. Yeah, mainly, she's like 22-0, or it's like stuffing takedowns. I think her last 22 attempts, she stuffed them out.
It's like Nunez was the last one to really exploit her.
Yeah, over the course of the last 5 fights, she's been stuffing takedowns like no other. And listen, everybody knows that very few people can nor should stand with de Randamie in the cage. So your only game plan to really defeating her sounds profoundly is you need to pursue those takedowns. And Ladd is not exactly great with her takedowns.
But how many wrestlers has Randamie really taken on?
Yeah, see, that's my counter argument there. It's like Anna Elmos. Was Anna Elmos going to score a takedown?
She's going to try, but it's not going to work.
Yeah, Holly Holm went in that fight with the game plan of
I'm a kickboxer. I'm a boxer. She's a kickboxer.
Yeah.
Maybe those rounds were so close that she probably thought that she won at the end of it.
Yeah, of course, I think she thought she was winning the round, so she's going through the movement. There's the motion. Sorry, there's 2 late punches at the end. I believe the second and the third in that fight, and still a lot of people actually did score the fight for Holly Holm. So it's not like it's a whitewash by no means by Randamie. It's that last fight with Raquel Pennington. I mean, I backed Raquel Pennington under the pretense of be aggressive, back this girl up against the cage, take her down. But here's the thing with Raquel Pennington. Even though she has the skill set to go out there and put through that game plan, she's mentally checked out. That fight with Nunez was really the end of Raquel Pennington. She missed weight for the fight with
She's the only one that's freaking actually went the distance with Nunez recently, though.
No, she got finished in the 5th. She was like, I don't want to fight a 5th round. And her coaches were like, you should go out there. And I think that moment.
They set her in there.
I think that moment broke.
Everyone else got finished early, though.
Yeah, so but at that point, she's like engaged to Tisha Torres. She's in a title fight. She had the big win over Miesha Tate. It's like everything was rolling in Pennington's favor. So she loses a title fight. Yeah, she made it to the 5th round against Nunez. No shame in that. But it's like everything kind of broke apart for her. Her and Tisha Torres split up. She misses weight for the fight with Randamie, and she just didn't look herself. She looks slow. She looks plodding. She looks lethargic. And I think she won the 3rd round based on the fact that she was able to control her against the cage and pursue takedowns, not necessarily get takedowns, but kind of get close. But the first 2 rounds, dude, she's hanging out at range. Yeah. Why are you hanging out at range with the Iron Lady? It makes no sense. But again, I feel like that's somebody that's checked out on their way out. I fought for a world title. I didn't even come nowhere near getting that world title. What high point can I get to this point after that? Whereas Aspen Ladd couldn't be any further from that. She's the young prospect, the young up-and-comer coming up. She did not look good against Sinhara Eubanks her last time out. Struggled with the takedowns, got 3 of them. Struggled with the takedowns. Striking, holy shit, dude. She doesn't move her head, and she kind of stands straight up when she exchanges punches. She leaves her head right there. The other thing that's extremely worrisome is that Eubanks gets to a point where she like only has really 1 punch. It's just like an overhand right. She just like thunks a big right hand, and that is it. And still, Aspen Ladd cannot make any adjustments, just gets hit. So if she tries to stand in front of Randamie, she's going to lose the exchanges. Yeah. What people are figuring, and that's why I think there's a lot of love coming in for Randamie, is that, yeah, listen, she's made a lot of strides in the takedown defense. Aspen Ladd, not exactly a great wrestler. Aspen Ladd can't really strike with her. So what's this going to be?
She's fought the better competition as well.
I just feel like Aspen Ladd at the end of the day is strong enough to get her up against the cage. And here's the thing, Ladd doesn't necessarily need the takedown. She's more than willing to hold you up against the cage. She was doing that against Eubanks. Eubanks is a black belt, is actually a world champion jiu-jitsu practitioner. So the ground game leaps and bounds better than Randamie. If she gets Randamie down to the ground, for whatever reason, let's call it a catch kick. Let's call it one singular takedown. Let's call it any of that. Her ground and pound is by far her best thing. She is relentless. Not huge on the power, but just volume. Sounds like a women's tennis match. And it sounds like she's playing herself in said women's tennis match. There's a lot of grunting going on, man. And she just, can score. I think Tanya Evinger dealt with it. Lena Landsberg dealt with it. Those are big, strong girls. Lena's not exactly the greatest grappler. Evinger's supposed to be a good grappler. But all I'm saying is once Aspen Ladd gets on top of you, it's finito. She just needs to get on top of Randamie. It looks like Randamie's a mush play. A lot of people are looking for a reason to fade my Bebe, and I
wasn't going to say the M word. But
yeah, I don't think it's dude, everybody's on her. Like everybody's on her, and she's plus 145. Let me ask you this, Paul.
The odds seem to be
everybody's on her, and the line is moving towards Aspen Ladd. Yeah. So I don't, you know what that is? That's sharp money coming in for
reverse line movement.
Yeah, so when I hear people break down the fights, they say, you know what? If Ladd can't get the takedown, she's going to have to strike with her, and we all know she's going to lose the striking match. I concur with that. If she has to strike with her, she'll probably lose the striking match. But my counter argument to that is she doesn't need the takedown. She just needs to get her up against the cage. From there, she'll hold her there. She'll try to grind away. If she does get a takedown, oh, baby. If not, rinse and repeat. She's young. She can go for days. Randamie's 35. She's known for slowing down. I can see Ladd getting the win.
All right, so all of this basically adds up to, a lot of cage work, a lot of holding up against the cage.
DK, don't play it.
You don't have to play this main event. Maybe,
she could take her
dog
down
or pass on DK,
risky.
but I'm probably just going to skip the main event.
Yeah. Well, there's the other thing. Lad's got a hell of a chin on her. So if she does get bombed on, if she can take the punches and just roll through, she'll make it a greasy fight. I wouldn't play her for the $8,900 on DraftKings just because
I don't think I'm going to bet this
price.
main event either, to be perfectly honest.
73 is extremely enticing because you have someone that's being publicly favored, not in terms of the money line, but I mean, like, a lot of the touts are on her. A lot of the people that are in the community are on her. You're getting a lot of support, and there's a reason why she could win this fight. So why would you want a winner that a lot of people are voicing their opinion in support of for $7,300? Just because it could be a very lackluster affair, which hopefully turns out to go in the favor of Aspen Ladd. And if you're the UFC, like, what do you gain from Randamie? I mean, the fight with Holm was atrocious. Then she refused to defend the title against Cyborg. So you strip her. She sits on the year for a sideline. By the way, she's not very active. She always takes a year off in between fights.
Well, she's like a cop.
And then she fights Raquel Pennington.
Part-time fighter, really.
Yeah, she's a part-time fighter. She's 35 years old. And listen, her best days are actually her kickboxing career. The Iron Lady, something like 39-0, like a hell of a kick. She kicked the fuck out of a man one time, right? And I'm not saying that in a surprise sense. I just mean, like, she was willing to do it on national television because she's an extreme badass. But again, when you start having a second career, and this is MMA, that young up-and-coming line that's always improving, that's always making... I expect to see a better version of Ladd in this next fight, and I expect to see a better version of her in the next fight. And let's say this girl plateaus at 27. She's still got years of experience to be gained. Is she too green right now? I don't want to see her headline a card. I really don't. I love seeing her, but I don't want to see her headline a card in a 5-round fight. People are going to laugh at this main event. They're already laughing at this main event. She doesn't need that. She should be third fight down, but they're giving her the spotlight. It's her chance to take it and run with it, and hopefully that's what she's planning on doing.
We got Ricky Simon taking on Uriah Faber, who returns for the first time since 2016. I didn't realize it was so long ago that he took on Brad Pickett and looked pretty abysmal. And he retired.
For good reason.
He's been gone. Maybe he needed a little bit of extra bank, and Uncle Dana's like, I'll give you $200,000. He's taking on Ricky Simon, 9,300 Ricky Simon, minus 345 favorite. Uriah Faber, 6,900 and plus 285. Obviously, this is in Sacramento. Maybe that's why he wanted to come out of retirement. This is why whenever fighters say that they retire after a fight in the cage, you just have to take it with a grain of salt, because these guys, it takes, a couple years later, they get the itch again. They're back in here. It's really hard to think that Uriah Faber has improved since that Brad Pickett fight. And frankly, Brad Pickett was washed at that point. Uriah Faber was washed at that point. Uriah Faber clearly won that fight, but it was not a great performance. He did not look great. So I'm not expecting much. And Ricky Simon's a guy who has shown to have very, very high IQ. That's the one thing I take away from him. He's pretty sharp. He seems to know the right thing. He's a good point fighter. I don't like him as a DraftKings play at 9,300. Maybe Uriah just rolls over, but Simon's not exactly a bomber, some sort of big time power puncher. It'd take a lot of volume for him to really pay off that $93 price tag. I'm picking him to win. I don't even know if I really want to parlay him all that much, though. It's in Sacramento. The crowd's going to be behind him. It's a kind of a big profile spot for a guy who hasn't been in this position before. I know he has in the regional scene. He was, going up the ranks. He was in, was it Legacy?
Yeah, he fought LFA, Dana White's Contender Series.
Yeah, like he's been in Titan FC. That was one. He's fought in like pretty high profile fights. So I'm not saying that he's a complete schlub, but this is going to be a pretty big high profile, and like minus 345 in the other guy's hometown. It's an easy stay away from me, but pick is Simon. What about you? Yeah,
listen, 345 on Ricky Simon against anybody, I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, there's a good spot to fade this guy. I think he's young. I think he's developing. I think the skill's there, but like, he's got a couple split decisions on his record recently that he didn't look overly great in. His fight with Gugashvili, he is literally 1 second away from losing said fight. The fight with Ronnie, yeah, you're right. He fought a good game plan. Yeah, you see the progress. 26 years old. You see the wrestling. You see the striking. You see everything kind of develop. He is in many ways what Uriah Faber has been molding in his gym the last 10, 15 years. He's a short, stout, stocky wrestler, big overhand right, a couple decent punches standing, good cardio, young, aggressive, coming up the ranks. And Faber left this sport for a reason. He realized that those guys are the future. The last time around, Uriah Faber says, you know what? I want one more rodeo. I want one more. And they do him a great favor here. We're going to give you Brad Pickett, a guy that's also on his way out. It's a retirement fight probably for the both of you guys, realistically, even though Pickett refused to retire afterwards. And he's becomes one of the very few people that retires coming off a win. Like, how awesome is that? You get the victory. You're able to put your gloves down and say, you know what? But the problem with coming off a win and retiring is that you stay up at night and you think, fuck, man, I can still fight those guys. I won the last fight. Oh, I can still. When you get flash KO'd or when you're just like the beating gets put on you, you say, I'm not interested in having that happen again. So I don't know that the conversation, it might have been Uriah Faber saying, hey, if I want back in, 200 grand's 200 grand. I got the itch. I'm coming off a win. I want in. I get more so the impression that the UFC was like, oh my God, we're in Sacramento and we have nothing on this card.
Our main event is Aspen Ladd versus Jermaine Randamie.
And that's something I forgot to mention. Aspen Ladd's not from Sacramento, but she's like a 20-minute drive outside of Sacramento and trains in Sacramento. So if this fight ends up being a greasy main event that goes 5, they're going to give it to her. I think so. But back to Faber, can he force that same greasy type fight? I don't think so. Again, I'd be looking to fade Simon depending on who the opponent is if he was 345 against him. But with Uriah Faber, it's like the service that we gave you against Brad Pickett, that's gone, dude. You want to come back, you're coming back right into the mix.
He didn't look great 2.5 years ago. How could we possibly think that he's going to look now?
Yeah, and there's a difference between being like, oh, you know what, that's a long layoff, and Juliana Pena, who we're going to talk about.
22, 23, that type of time.
Juliana Pena, we'll get to her ring rust, but it's like, I think everybody deals with ring rust in their own ways, but I think he'll be dealing with ring rust and a regressed skill set. Listen,
he's like a nearly 40-year-old bantamweight.
He is 40. And
is he 40 already?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's 40 years old. And also when you think about it, it's like, well, what was he best at like back in the day? And I mean like in the WEC days or like in the UFC when he was rolling. It's like, oh, dude, the guy's a great wrestler. His wrestling is not wrestling in the UFC standard anymore. No. He cannot take these guys down. Maybe Brad Pickett. The rest of these guys he can't take down. Well, he's got that big uppercut, that big right hand. It's been snuffed out. It worked for a little bit. Chad Mendez was using it. He just retired as well, by the way. Uriah Faber is using it. Those stocky guys were using it, but it gets figured out. And eventually it's just he himself got really stagnant. His last couple fights, he gets just completely torched. The fight with Jimmy Rivera, it's like, it really goes to show like leg kicks. He couldn't even deal with leg kicks. Wrestling's not a factor anymore. The punching power, like when has he ever really rocked a guy? Michael McDonald, right? And then he gets a submission off of that. But like that sneaky alpha male guillotine, do those guys even get that anymore? No. So what I'm getting at is you got a card here where you got Josh Emmett, he's an alpha male guy. You got Darren Elkins as an alpha male guy. You got alpha male guys on it. Why not put the team leader? But the team leader is being fed to the wolves here in that young, hungry line. So you're saying pass. I'm going to say Ricky Simon by decision. I got to get better value on that. And as far as the DraftKings goes, I'd love to fade Faber and take the other guy, but $9,300, like Faber's still durable, and Faber kind of matches up with this guy. Same skill set, just less.
He's got to do a lot of work to score that.
Yeah. Listen, is he going to score 10 takedowns on Faber? No, he's not going to. In fact, he might score a couple, and there's going to be some cage control, and there's going to be a lot of what you're seeing too. My last thing here is that with guys like Uriah Faber, right? What did we just see this past weekend with Gilbert Melendez versus Arnold Allen? Arnold Allen's not even really the shit. He's a young prospect who's developing. That's not even a top 15 guy, but Gil's been away for a couple of years. Gil used to
game's passed him by.
Gil used to be a good wrestler, and Gil used to have some wild striking and force the action.
Gil looked BJ Penn washed.
He looked BJ Penn washed. And then we look at some of the other guys in recent memory that have come back and have taken on these tough tasks. And it's happening to all of them almost, right? Maybe a Nogueira can go out and get a win over Sam Alvey, but then in his very next fight, you see the guy that's going to show up on most nights. So it's a crapshoot. Unless you're just a diehard Uriah Faber fan, you want money on him. I would say you're going to pass on this fight, or you're going to take Ricky Simon. And because the price is not all that attractive, I would take it by decision and pass on the DraftKings side of it.
Mirsad Bektic takes on Josh Emmett. Mirsad Bektic is 8,800 minus 165 favorite. Emmett is 7,400 and plus 145. What you take here?
Yeah, you know what? I used to consider myself a good talent scout. You know, you watch regional MMA and you spot guys and you're like, this guy's going to make it to the UFC. And then it's like, dude, everybody makes it to the UFC. So it's like you're trying to spot guys. You're trying to spot guys where it's like, this guy's going to be a contender, right? And then there's always those guys where you're like, this guy's going to be a world champion. And it could be a guy like Justin Scoggins. It could be a guy like Zabit Magomed-Sharipov. Or in, I think, a lot of people's cases, in my own, I thought Mirsad Bektic was going to be the shit. And he's good. He's talented. It's just I don't think he'll ever reach the levels that maybe we put on him. The comeback against Darren Elkins aside, it's that I feel like he plateaued. He got a lot of injuries. He was at American Top Team, and he was like one of the they said this is the most talented guy in the gym, American Top Team. And then you don't really see it out of. You might see glimpses. The Godofredo Pepe fight. Remember that body shot? Like just nasty.
That was Pepe though. It's like Pepe either caught you in some sort of crazy submission, or he ate shit in the first round. And he's dead.
But here's the thing with BEKTIC. It's like here's a Bosnian-born guy that moves to fucking Nebraska and is raised in Nebraska. So not only does he have a cast iron will, but like he knows how to wrestle. Then when you see the Pepe fight, it's like, dude, his striking is just improving leaps and bounds, working the body in that spot, finish him in like 3 minutes into the first round. He's putting it all together. There's little spots of, does he burn himself out? Is his cardio great? I don't know. There's little spots of, did he make a bad decision there? Some ring IQ. The Lamas fight. He's torching Lamas on the feet, and then he continuously just switches to the takedown. I don't know. He's a work in progress still, but he's had enough time in the UFC now that it's like, you really do want to see those improvements out of him. So then he ditches out on American Top Team and he goes to TriStar in Montreal. His last fight versus Lamas was at TriStar. I didn't think he looked good, but Lamas is a tough contender, right? He's the kind of guy that's hard to look great against for most people. So in BEKTIC's case, he gets the split decision, should have been unanimous, but not a great outing from him. Stays at TriStar.
Wasn't hard for Josh Emmett to look good against Lamas.
Well,
just saying.
So that's what I'm getting at here, is that we've got Mirsad BEKTIC who can wrestle, he can strike, but is he going to out-wrestle Emmett? Maybe he could, but Emmett can wrestle.
He's at a gym filled with guys
that
are
going to
outstrike
Josh Emmett? I think he could outpoint Josh Emmett striking. I think he's got the cleaner hands.
But
the thing
runs
is
him
that
into some danger.
Is that he's going to start to fade. He always starts to fade. And once he starts fading in that third round, that's when Emmett's power becomes a problem. Because yeah, he starts as Lamas in the first round, but how is that power going to carry through? He's easily down 2 rounds against Michael Johnson, and he fucks Michael Johnson up. And Johnson's got a good chin on him too. So it's like this guy's power. Also, that fight against Michael Johnson, think about it, dude. He himself got absolutely sparked, and he's on the come back, and he's talking about how, you know, a part of me was like, am I doing this? And he's getting a little bit older, and he's got ring rust. He doesn't look good early against Johnson, but he finds a way. This version of him, he's at home, technically speaking. They're fighting in California, and he's an alpha male guy, so he's at home. There's not less ring rust, you know, he's going to be in good shape. If he just stretches BEKTIC out and he can spark him late, you got dog money on him, $7,400. I mean, if you're talking about a guy that's good savings on DraftKings, that could get a finish, that could get the win, matches up very good in the spot. It's Josh
and has massive ceiling here with the heaters that he's capable of throwing.
He can knock them the fuck out. Also, if you just want to throw in like little X factors that probably don't mean a whole lot, he's a great trading partner of Darren Elkins, and the game plan is stretch this motherfucker out and take him out in the third round. So it becomes a problem. Also, TriStar's not on a good roll right now. The guys have been fading.
I was gonna say I wish he was still. I wish this guy was still at ATT. ATT is the best gym in MMA right now. It's not even close.
Yeah, stole the words out of my mouth. It's just like ATT is the best gym.
Like Mike Brown has just been making the best game plans for everybody. Like people are going in having performances of their life. I know JDS got knocked out against Francis Ngannou, but like Francis got that death touch. Like that's gonna happen.
Of course, and I think when you're there, it's like I've just got a plethora of guys I can work with that are in my weight class. They're hungry contenders. He's only still 28 years old. Like there's still progression to be made. But now you put him at TriStar, it's like, well, where are their guys at? Well, Rory just had a very, I don't know, his last fight was all right, I guess, but like uninspired for the most part. The rest of the team, the Eamon Zahabis of the world, the Joseph Duffys of the world, they're just, you see the cracks split.
Prospect, frankly.
And there was guys like Robert Whitaker that were going down there, and Nasrat
Hakparast.
Thank you, Paul. That's why we do the show together. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like there's the odd guy, but those guys are leaving as well. Whitaker's not there anymore. Nazareth, he spends a little bit of time here and there, but you know, at the same time, it's like, am I inspired by that? No. So I'm going to not go balls out here, and I am still going to say Mirsad BEKTIC does get a job. He's got the superior skill set. He's younger, better wrestler, better striker. It's going to be a decision. I do believe BEKTIC is kind of a decision guy. But am I worried about Josh Emmett? Oh, yeah. And if Emmett was better than 145, I think I would take the play. But like this shows people are betting Josh Emmett. They realize that he's got the skills to defeat BEKTIC, but I'll ride the prospect here.
It's a dogger pass for me there. I wouldn't lay the sense on Mirsad BEKTIC. We got Carl Roberson taking on Wellington TURMAN. Carl Roberson, 9,100 minus 225 favorite. Wellington TURMAN is 7,100 and plus 185. This guy Wellington ain't too bad. he's not the worst guy I've ever seen. You know, he's a Brazilian, somewhat of a, you know, he's like 15-2 record.
Yeah, good record.
I was pretty happy, especially his last fight. So he's taking on Marcio Lioto, former Ultimate Fighter Brazil finalist. Yeah. And I think that's pretty similar stylistic matchup as Carl Roberson. Roberson's obviously a kickboxer style. The other guy likes to be a bit of a karate, but it's just like, I think it was pretty similar in terms of like what to kind of expect from this guy. And he kind of held his own, this Wellington TURMAN guy. I'm not playing Carl Roberson minus 225. TURMAN really needs to grab the clinch when he does get into the clinch. He's got some decent trips and stuff. He doesn't have classic wrestling from what I have seen. But and obviously he runs into the risk of trying to break that distance, trying to get it up against the cage, trying to go for that trip, of eating elbows and other shit as he tries to go in. But that's the game that we play here. Another situation where I think the favorite is just too juiced. It's dog or pass. I may have to do a little bit more research on TURMAN, but I could see it being a sneaky play. What about you? Yeah,
I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, as somebody who will likely take Carl Roberson, I'm going to be sweating it out. I mean, Roberson's got a lot of issues with him. Namely, once they get him on the ground, they submit him. And you're talking about Brazilians in doing so. Cesar Ferreira takes him down first round, arm triangle choke. Glover Teixeira, he almost murders Glover Teixeira with those elbows, those Travis Brown style elbows. Glover rolls over, gets back up, takes him down, gets on top of him, arm triangle choke, same thing. When I watch Wellington TURMAN, a lot of his wins by submission, if he gets you on the ground, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for Roberson. It's going to be a problem for some of the lower level guys in this division. Roberson's a kickboxer. We know he's a kickboxer, so he can keep the fight standing. He's much better standing. If this fight ends up on the ground, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. TURMAN's wrestling's not great. You totally nailed it with he loves clinch style trips. He'll just try to get double unders on you. He'll go to the outside. He'll go to the inside. And I see when he gets double unders, he'll just lift a guy up and just shuck him. And it's very effective, especially against these taller guys, which Roberson kind of fits that mold of a taller guy. The reason I'm going to go with Roberson is that Roberson spends all of his time, Nick Catone, MMA, the guy's in Jersey, and he's like best friends with Corey Anderson. To think that this guy's not working on his wrestling would be foolish. TURMAN's coming in on a week's notice. Also, he's got a ballooned up 15-2 record, and he's replacing John Phillips. So when you think about that for a second, Carl Roberson's 1-2 in the, no, he's 2-2. He beat Darren Stewart in his debut, but they gave him Jack Marshman, right? And he beats Jack Marshman, loses to Glover, and then they were going to give him John Phillips. Like, dude, they like this guy. They like this guy, and they want to see him progress. He got the win on the Contender Series.
I think you're overthinking that.
Listen, you bring in a week's notice.
Dude, they're literally just filling a freaking card here.
Yeah, with the guy.
It's not like, oh, we love this guy. Let's set him up against John Phillips. No, they contractually had those guys when they sent them the message. They're like, hey, are you willing to fight this guy? They're like, yes. Like, we have a main event between Aspen Ladd and Jermaine Randamie on this card. Like,
yeah. Fair.
Let's not be like, oh, they're really trying. I think this is just a mismatch of just like, hey, these guys need fights.
Okay, fair. Right. This is a mismatch of shit.
I think your narrative is a little bit nuts there.
All I'm saying
just
is
calling you out.
Fair. I'm glad that you're calling me out. Aspen Ladd versus Jermaine Randamie. We got one girl from California. It's a fight that has divisional standings. It's on the main card. You got Uriah Faber. He's from California. He's from Sacramento, I should say. He's a legend of the sport against the up and coming Ricky Simon. It makes sense. It's on the main card. Mirsad Bektic versus Josh Emmett, a 28-year-old prospect of Mirsad Bektic. People are high up on. Josh Emmett, again, fighting out of Sacramento, an exciting fighter. It makes they're both established. It's a good fight. It makes total sense that this is on the main card. Why the fuck would John Phillips versus Carl Roberson
they said
be on the main card? Because it was going to be a fun banger.
Do you think they really think these things through on a lot of these cards, man? There's so much content. There's cards every single week. They're just filling slots.
They
need 12 fights.
Okay.
They need 12 fights. They don't have 12 people from Sacramento to put in every single fight, so they have to fill in some other guys.
Okay,
but this is a much,
I'll take Roberson.
This is a much different matchup, though.
He's fighting a guy that's coming in from Brazil on a week's notice that's 22 years old, Paul. He cannot strike. Marcio Lioto, you're right. He wobbles him with a left hook. Yep. That ends up getting him to the ground, and then he chokes him out with the rear naked choke. Not bad. But it's a herky-jerky left hand that lands. Also, Marcio Alexander is a guy that fought in the UFC at 170 pounds and lost his fights in the UFC and then got cut. Moves up to 185, and he takes out this guy. Roberson's going to be a different animal.
You're laying minus 225 here?
No, I don't like the price, but no. I'm just not taking Wellington TURMAN, so we can move on from there.
So you're picking to make it clear, you're picking Roberson to win, but you don't like the price.
When was the last time I've said I like the price? They're all steamed by the time we do this show. Yeah. None of these prices are appealing. I'm giving you my pick. It's Carl Roberson.
Cool. Let's move on. We got Marvin Vettori taking on Cesar Ferreira. Vettori is 8,600 and minus 150 favorite. Ferreira, 7,600 and plus 130. I mean, is he going to get knocked out? It's very possible.
He's going to take him down and beat him, or he's not going to take him down. He's going
Vettori against Omari Akhmedov.
Yeah, brutal.
He made some big mistakes, which I hope he doesn't make against a guy like Cesar Ferreira. It's like he tried to basically pull guard against Akhmedov in like round 1, where he's like going for an arm bar, and it's just like, if you do that, you let Ferreira get you to the ground, like you're in for quite a bit of trouble. But like Ferreira's ability to take damage. I'm coming off of getting absolutely lambasted by betting Chinny Luke. So I'm a little bit hesitant this week, and especially with a guy like Ferreira. I think he can get in deep. I think he can potentially get the takedown, but Vettori does have a decent get-up game. Not exactly a murderous power puncher. It doesn't take much against Cesar Ferreira. I am leaning Marvin Vettori, but I don't feel great about it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to take Marvin Vettori. Do I feel great about it? No, I also don't feel great about it. But yeah, Cesar Ferreira, listen, there was a time where it's like, okay, he can't take a punch anymore, so he switches up his game plan, just goes to the grappling. And it's effective, taking guys down. He's a great athlete. He always shows up in great shape.
He's jacked.
Plows you to the ground, and he tries to submit you. And then it progresses one step further than that, where it's like he does get them to the ground, but doesn't submit them when he gets there. And then he's shot. His fight with Elias Theodorou was the big eye opener of why you should never bet this guy ever. Struggles mightily in all departments against Elias. Does get him down. Can't submit him. The fight with Ian Heinisch, again, another example of if I struggle at all to get you down, I ain't going to stand with you. It's just the way it is. He just crumples under that pressure. I see that pressure from Marvin Vettori. Again, this kid's green. This kid probably shouldn't have been signed to the UFC when he did. Italian prospect training out of Kings MMA. Now the California guy, so maybe there's some type of rub there for him. I don't know. But he's just so young. He's making issues. The big one was I watched him live UFC 207 against Antonio Carlos Jr. First 2 rounds, what's up in the air, dude? You got to stuff some takedowns here in the third. Tired, no ability to stuff the takedown. Doesn't even really try. Just lets it happen. The fight with Vitor Miranda, that guy can't wrestle at all. Still only wins the decision against old man Vitor, the K1 kickboxer for Brazil. Fair. The fight with Omari Akhmedov, he loses the first 2 rounds. On the basis of he's trying to grapple Akhmedov and losing, but he doesn't do anything, Paul. There's no volume. There's no urgency. There's no sense of... And then in the third round, yeah, I don't know if he realizes, fuck, I'm about to lose this fight.
I got to try to finish him.
Yeah,
he doesn't, but he gets a 10-8.
He puts it on him. That's the only reason he gets the draw. And then, curiously enough, he loses a split to Israel Adesanya. So when you look at like where have both guys gone since then, this kid's only 25. You know, where's the progression? But it's just like plagued with injuries, sitting on the sideline, not rushing back to action. Whereas Adesanya has captured the moment and captured the imagination of fight fans all over the globe. So do I still think I don't think Vettori can get to that level. Don't get me wrong. But like, should he be on the path of still getting better and still progressing and still rising up through the ranks? I don't see why not. With Cesar Ferreira, he's a one-trick pony, and he needs to get those takedowns and be effective with them. And where it has worked against Vettori, it has. And to be honest, it's not the worst play in the world if you were to go Ferreira. But the price is not good enough on the dog side for Ferreira, and I do feel that Vettori, surely he's going to come with the game plan of keep this guy, even if you do get taken down. Vettori hasn't shown, he lasted on the ground with Antonio Carlos Jr. Getting taken down by Ferreira, not the end of the world, but you need to just play your cool and chill out.
Don't let him set up that arm in triangle.
He loves the arm in triangle. If you've seen those pythons on the guy, like he can squeeze, don't give him that opportunity. And if you do give him that opportunity, he'll squeeze his arms out if he doesn't get the submission. So Vettori might be in a sticky situation early. I think he pulls through based on the cardio, the youth, the athleticism, the striking advantage, and, eventually pulls away with it. So Sami Vettori, where I say I don't like a whole lot of prices, like 150 is not all that bad.
No, it isn't.
But, he's coming off a year and 3-month layoff. Shouldn't have had a split against Adesanya. I don't think so.
I don't mind taking these young kids on long layoffs.
Exactly. Is that the time off? Probably good for him. He's still very green.
Probably added a lot of tools that you didn't see the last time he was out.
He's fought.
You hope at least.
Yeah, think about it. He was 24 years old, and his fights in the UFC, BJJ black belt world champion Antonio Carlos Jr., who he lost a decision with. Former K1 striking standout Vitor Miranda, that was not as impressive. Sambo world champion Omari Akhmedov, and future world title challenger, potentially world champion, but title challenger, Israel Adesanya. So like he's fighting really good guys. He's just not that level. Time off might have helped him. So give me a shot on the Italian stallion, Marvin Vettori.
We got Mike Rodriguez taking on John Allen. Mike Rodriguez, 9,400 and a minus 420 favorite. John Allen is 6,800 and plus 335. Massive reach advantage here for Rodriguez. He has like an 82.5. I believe John Allen has like 75. So 7.5 inch reach advantage for Rodriguez. But 420 to lay on this guy is kind of crazy. The other, John Allen doesn't look too bad. I forget who he was fighting. The fight that his most recent fight.
The Contender Series bout? Oh, yeah. Go on. His most recent bet that you saw.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna bring it up.
Contender Series.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna bring it up right here.
Either way, whatever fight. Just like he didn't look too bad.
No. So
like I just don't understand this line. It seems I know that's like super late notice and yada yada yada, but like it seems kind of egregious to me. I will never. In the UFC, I will not lay minus 420 on Mike Rodriguez against anybody.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
I don't think I'm going to bet this dog, but like if it gets up to like plus 500, okay, let's go. It's not going to. If it does, I'm in. If it doesn't, it's a pass.
Yeah, listen, you got Mike Rodriguez.
I'm passing a lot on this card, but like...
It's because you got torched on the last show.
It's because I got absolutely murdered.
Fuck, man, I don't want to go out there and put my hat on somebody.
I'm just not going to... I don't think I'm going to bet much on this card this week.
No, listen, the price is not great, again. But Mike Rodriguez, he's clearly should be the favorite. Yeah, what I noticed against John Allen is that John Allen is just a bruiser, a Brazilian bruiser. Gets in there and just slugs with you. He was on Contender Series against Vinicius Moreira, who is the guy that ended up just getting blasted by Eric Anders. Mm-hmm. And in that fight, he is putting it on him, and then he gets taken down and ends up getting submitted with a triangle choke. So it's like he cannot grapple, but like he's a fun, plodding...
But he doesn't need to grapple against
that's why
our boy Mike Rodriguez.
That's why it's a fun fight. But if you're Mike Rodriguez, you're coming off a fight where it's like, man, these guys are just going to try to grapple me. So Rodriguez doesn't want to be grappled. He's got like a 6-inch height advantage and like a 7-inch reach advantage. Yeah, he is absolutely gigantic. He throws flying knees and shit. His last fight against Millsap,
I don't think he's that gigantic. He's tall.
Well, yeah, I mean, in proportion to his opponent.
He comes in at like 203 for these weigh-ins and stuff. Like
he's 6'4" with an 82.5 inch reach.
He's probably a natural 195er.
A natural. He's 6'4".
I mean, like, so if he was able to do he probably can't cut to 185. He probably could cut to 195 and just be super tall at that weight class. But
yeah, so on his Contender Series fight, he takes on Jamel Jones and he just sparks him with a flying knee. His first fight against Devin Clark, he can't really wrestle. You know, he's a big, tall, rangy striker who's got some flashy moves, but like that's just a bad stylistical matchup for him. And Devin Clark shouldn't be laughed at. He's got some wins, and over this level of competition and that style, Clark's going to come away with it, and he does. And then the next fight with Adam Milstead. Milstead's a training partner of Stipe. Milstead's a guy that fought at heavyweight, and he's down at 205 and just like completely runs through and retires him. Supposed to take on Jean Vellante in this spot, and that's going to be a fun fight. You know, you got the old dog Vellante who was always down for a war versus this young. He doesn't want to be grappled. Vellante's not going to try grappling him. Going to be a fun fight. So you replace Vellante, you get John Allen. Still going to be a fun fight. But Allen's going to have a hell of a time coming through in that reach. The other thing too is that Allen's real wild Brazilian bruiser. He's not throwing straight punches. He throws looping punches. And when you throw looping punches against a taller guy, you're going to get fucking dead smacked down the pipe by linear punches. So I think that's what is going to happen here. I think Rodriguez is going to touch him up. Rodriguez to hit him with something. Rodriguez could knock him out. But you're absolutely right. Like, why would you want to pay minus 400 on Mike Rodriguez? It's nuts. The $9,400, he's got the upside that he could get the finish.
Sure.
But it's not like John Allen's the biggest putts in the world.
And the back end of your lineup gets affected severely by having Mike Rodriguez at that price.
Yeah, the element 6,800 on John Allen is like, I don't want it, but it is pulling me in, dog. Like, if you're playing multiple lineups, John Allen's going to be on some of those lineups, even though I do believe Mike Rodriguez's height, reach, athleticism, and the fact that he's had a full camp versus John Vellante versus a guy that's coming in from Brazil, taking the fight on a week's notice.
We got Shaman Moraes taking on Andre Touchy Fili. Shaman Moraes 8,400 minus 120 favorite. Andre Fili 7,800 and plus 100. Shaman Moraes just look at the stats there. We got 42.88 points per fight.
So talented.
2-2. He's very, very talented. He's a very, very good fighter. His 2 losses against Zabit and Sadiq Yusuf, no shame in any of that. Yeah. This guy's a very, very good fighter. Terrible DraftKings player, though.
Yeah.
Unless you think that he gets a knockout against Andre Fili. I'm actually almost intrigued by Fili here.
Yeah.
Because I think Fili's game plan is
Fili's had a great dog run, man.
Similar to some of his other more recent fights where he's really started to mix in the wrestling and stuff.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go after takedowns. Is he going to be able to take down Shaman Moraes? Potentially. I'm interested in Fili as a dog play on DraftKings, if anything here. What about you?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. When you look at Fili, it's like a lot of the time you get a good price on him, and this is a guy that has good ring IQ. If he can outstrike you from distance and not have to mix it up, he'll do that. If he's giving up the striking advantage, he'll take you down. He mixes in that good blend. There's certain fights like the Dennis Bermudez fight, the Michael Johnson fight, the Miles Jury's fight. Those guys can all wrestle, competent wrestlers. Dennis Bermudez is a great wrestler. Fili gets him down. Michael Johnson, he's a striker now. It comes from a wrestling base. Takes him down. That last fight against Miles Jury, not known for his wrestling, but a guy that's competent. And Fili just made him look awful. Like I remember watching Miles Jury and thinking, wow, he is getting thoroughly outclassed. The Bermudez fight, close, but Fili just got way higher ring IQ than Dennis Bermudez, but a better game plan.
And his whole damn team is getting ready for this exact day.
And the Michael Johnson fight, he loses, but it's a split, and like there's a full-on argument that maybe he should have gotten that split. And if that fight happens in Sacramento, where all your buddies are on the card, you're probably going to get it. So now you have a spot here where it's like, ooh, you'd want him for maybe a little bit of a better price. But the problem with Shaman Moraes is better striker than Fili? Yeah, for sure. Hard to take down? Yeah, for sure. But he doesn't do enough. You know, it's a lot of standing there and watching you and waiting for you to make a move. And listen, is he a skilled counterpuncher? Yes. And is the guy very durable? Yeah, outside of Zabit submitting him, very durable. But you don't want Fili on top of you. So if Fili does get the takedown, I'm giving the advantage on the grappling exchanges to Fili. And as far as stand-up goes, even though I fully admit Fili is not the better striker, he's rangier and he doesn't mind sitting on the outside, touching you up, trying to make you make a mistake. I feel like you can wait on it and get a little bit better of a price on Fili, but I've not taken any dogs to this point. So even though he's only plus 100, I feel like that's one I can get behind.
Juliana Pena takes on Nico Montano. Juliana Pena 9,000 minus 165 favorite. Nico Montano 7,200 and plus 145. Pena hasn't fought in like over 2 years. She had a kid. She's been doing some commentating for Combate.
Holy shit.
Combate Americas or whatever.
Nuts. You got stories about that.
She's super slow. Montano obviously won the 125-pound belt against Roxanne Modafferi. He put up 158 points in that performance. If you prorate that out, she would have got like 95 points in a 3-rounder. Maybe you take away the takedowns. It's the 3 takedowns, I believe, that she landed. You bring her down to like 80. But if she fights with that type of significant strike pace, I think she can eke out a victory against Pena, especially coming off of this massive layoff and everything like that. I am concerned that Montano's way too small, that Pena moves her up against the cage, kind of bullies her, muscles her. That's her game. But if Montano is going to be fast enough on the feet, I think she's definitely live at 145. What about you?
Yeah, no way. I'm going with Juliana Pena. And shout out to Matt Locke. If he's watching the show right now and you go down to the comment sections, you'll see Juliana Pena is his bebe. I've been hoping this girl is going to come back for a long time. She possesses one of the few skill sets that nobody has in this division that's ultra effective. She's real strong. She's able to just peel you to the ground. When she gets on top of you, she's relentless. She would have been a title challenger. I don't know that she would have won the title, but she would have definitely challenged for a title by this point had she not had a kid. The Shevchenko,
really?
Oh, 100%.
Shevchenko made her look like a putz.
First round, she takes down Shevchenko and it's like, damn, I thought Juliana Pena won the first round. Second round, she takes down Shevchenko and is en route to doing the same thing if Shevchenko snacks up an armbar from the back. It's like, oh, fuck. Shevchenko is more than just a kickboxer. She's got good grappling. And Pena's like, oh, damn, you know? But like, she was taking her down and having her way because she's just much larger than Shevchenko. And Shevchenko eventually went down to 125 pounds. When you look at Amanda Nunes has cleared out the division. I mean, she's fought Holly Holm. She's fought Ronda Rousey. She had to move up to fight Cyborg. She fought Raquel Pennington. Who else could she have possibly fought by now? But you know, if Juliana Pena was still competing over that course of time, she would have got her shot just by virtue of there not really being anybody else. I do believe she would have been a title challenger at some point. But again, I think her skill set's huge. She is not like a Tatiana Suarez wrestler, but the game plan's the same. Try to lean up on these people. I don't like her striking. I hate her footwork. But she's always moving forward. The other thing is, she's legitimately crazy. Nuts. I've interviewed her on a couple of occasions, both times fucking nuts. She one time shattered a glass with her bare hand watching a Ronda Rousey fight because of her pure hatred for Ronda Rousey. Remember, she was trying to get that fight for a long time. Then she gets arrested for beating up 2 male bouncers at a nightclub, right?
They had it coming.
Yeah. And meanwhile, one of her training partners is like spitting blood on a window. Like, she's batshit crazy. And then she gets knocked up. I feel so bad for the guy because she's freaking insane, okay? But I love that fire out of her, Paul. And
you got a bit of a crush here.
I'm scared of her.
Yeah.
And that is a little bit hot.
Okay.
But getting back to the matchup at stake, Nico Montano, 125er, right? She was able to snag up this belt, but we all knew, we all knew it wasn't for real. We all knew she wasn't going to compete at that level. What was she when she come on the show? 3-2? Like, she had an abysmal professional record.
4-2 now.
No experience, and at 125 pounds. Then she botches a weight cut. Doesn't ever defend her title. Has some health problems. She's not a huge 25er. Couldn't make the weight. Moves up to 135, and Pena is big, man. Mm-hmm. She's big. She's strong. She's got it going on.
Factor here, especially because if you
size will be everything. The ring rust is the question.
If you think of like Chiesa versus Sanchez this last week, maybe Montano's able to survive like this.
Female Mike Chiesa, by the way.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Is that maybe Montano's able to survive down there, but there's going to be a massive strength disparity if Pena gets it to the ground.
Yeah, and I just mean like the Ultimate Fighter. Right?
I'm not betting Pena though. Not after 2.5 years and not coming off of having a kid. You crazy?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I just mean when you look at her last 3 fights.
You hate old people. You hate old people who have babies as well.
No, I don't know if I'd go that far. I'm just saying when you look at her last, she's only 29 years old. So when you say old, you're totally off there. You look at her last 3 opponents: Jessica Ai, former world title challenger, didn't go good. Kat Zingano, former world title challenger, actually surprisingly went even worse. And Valentina Shevchenko, current world champion, 2-time world challenger at a weight class, or 1-time world challenger at 35. It was like she was fighting the best girls and she didn't look out of place. The 2 years off, yes, problem. However, 27 to 29, not the end of the world. How many girls have come back from having a kid? Yeah, surprisingly lots of them. So it's not as if she just had the kid and has been sitting on the sidelines. She had the kid a year ago. She's back in shape. Wait to see her on the scales, but I honestly don't think that's going to be an issue.
How many have won a title while having a kid?
How many of them have won a title after having a kid?
How many UFC champions have been moms? Pretty sure it's 0.
Yeah, but I mean, how many world champions have the UFC had? You can name them all on probably one hand, Paul. So no, Jessica Andrade and Rose Namajunas, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Valentina Shevchenko, Ronda Rousey, and
I rest my case.
Nico Montano and Jermaine Randamie. Listen. We can also say Jermaine Randamie is a champion as well. You can pick your battles.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Juliana Pena on the size that she's going to be bigger. She's going to be stronger. It? Yeah, I'm going to play it. 65 is not a bad price. 9,000. She's a decision machine. I don't like that. But she also scored a lot of takedowns, lots of ground and pound. The problem is that she could gas, and I wouldn't doubt it because the way she fights, the way she fights is like she's not leaving no energy for the swim back home. She's trying to take her head off at all times, right? Even though she's not the most technical girl going, she makes up with that with the brute force and the strength, and those are my style of plays. So I'll take Pena. I see some people going against her. That's fine. That's why I'm getting a reasonable price, I think.
Ryan Hall takes on Darren Elkins, 8,300 minus 115 for Hall. Pretty much a pick 'em. 7,900 minus 105 Elkins. Interesting matchup.
Extremely interesting. Most Hall fights are, but this one is just another one in the long line.
Spamming a lot of kicks because he's not worried about you taking him down. Darren, the damage, likes to take you down. But, like, is he going to want to go in that guard? Like, that's how you get in trouble. So, even, like, cage work gets dangerous against Ryan Hall, where it's just, like, if you start going up, he'll just, like, roll, like, jump down, grab an ankle, spider monkey to your back. Like, he's a super risky fight. I think Darren Elkins has more tools. to pull it off. But, you know, in terms of dynamic finishing ability, Ryan Hall, first person to, you know, submit BJ Penn. He's the guy's a stud.
Nothing.
The guy's a stud. If he gets it to the ground, he's actively always trying to get it to the ground, or at least like he doesn't have much of a wrestling game, so like he's gonna like flop to his back. Elkins is an old savvy veteran. Like I'm interested to see who you like in this one. To be perfectly honest, like I'm getting. Maybe it's just I like Darren Elkins, but I'm leaning towards him. But maybe I'm completely off base because Hall is dangerous, and I could see Elkins getting caught in something. Yeah,
Hall is always dangerous. It doesn't matter who you are. At least he's got the X factor of like literally anybody in the world. He could just flop to his back and get a leg lock. Beyond that, leg locks are not even his game, man. Like he's a 50-50 guard guy. When he takes your back, that's when you have a real problem. Yep. You know, it's a little bit worrisome that he was on Artem Lobov's back for like 11 minutes and could not rear naked choke him. But again, when you talk about high ring IQ, Hall's got really high, legit in-person IQ. His ring IQ, no different. He knew he couldn't take down Gray Maynard. He knew Gray Maynard's also a black belt and probably wasn't just going to sit in his guard. So he spam kicks and ran the whole time, and it wasn't aesthetically pleasing, but he got the job done, right? He does not take damage. One thing I don't really like about him is that he takes no damage in his fights. He took no damage against Lobov. He took no damage against Gray Maynard. He took no damage against BJ Penn, but like he fights once a year, and
he's taking on a guy named The Damage.
Yeah, he's taking on a guy that literally has his tattooed on his fucking chest, right? So it's very crazy to be like, oh man, it's a good style clash. Now, can he take down Darren Elkins? No. Is he going to pull guard against Darren Elkins? Maybe, but if he's fishing for a leg lock, sure. Yeah. It's that he's maybe fights him the same way he did against Gray Maynard, which is like, I'm probably faster than this guy, so I'm just going to dinkle around. The thing is that Gray Maynard fought the world's worst game plan. I'm going to keep both of my hands down. I'm going to stand here. I'm not going to cut angles. I'm just going to take kicks. And I'm going to like wave to the crowd and like wave you on. But like, bro, you are losing the fight. You need to do something. Elkins will do that something. Also, fans don't like Ryan Hall. If the fight's a finish, sure, that's all well and good. But the longer it plays out, he's routinely booed, right? He's booed because there's a lack of action. Most fans are drinking beers. They don't even know what's going on. I don't understand the position. This guy's beating the guy I have money on. Fuck this guy. Boo, right? With Elkins, if he just pressures him, moves forward, gets the better of the dirty boxing exchanges, keep this guy upright. Don't let him flop to his back. He's not going to take you down. Pin him up against the cage and just work this guy. Yes. Could Darren Elkins put his head a little too low and get caught in a guillotine? Sure. Could he get caught in a Dars? Could he get caught in an Anaconda? Could he get flopped over and get a heel hook, a foothold, anything like that? Yeah, it's all possibilities. But Darren Elkins has been submitted one time in his long-ass career. It was by Charles Oliveira, who's the man, and Ryan Hall is also the man.
24-7, 31 fights.
So he's got 27 pro fights. He's been submitted one lone time. He's out of Alpha Male. He's training with all these guys.
31
if you're worried about the guillotine choke, I'm just going to. But if you're going based on, you know, if he just holds him up against the cage on the double leg, the guillotine's open there. Training at a gym where it's like the only move they know how to do off the cage is that guillotine, grappling wise. So I thought we'd get Elkins at a dog price because he hasn't looked very good lately. But again, those are just the styles that he's been facing. Don't match up good against them. That's what I mean. Like, that shit's not going to work good for you. But against Hall, you don't got to worry about him stinging you standing. You don't got to worry about him taking you down. You don't really got to worry about much other than if he's to swing on top of your back.
Disengage at all times.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it's going to be a greasy old striking battle, which Elkins will come away on. The 7,900, because it's less than 8,000, I would take a stab.
Yeah, same here.
But I mean, again, this is a card I'm not huge on most of the dogs, and whereas FILI and Elkins should be dogs, they're pick'em fights. And
oh, for sure.
I'm not giving you a dog play here. I'm telling you who I think's going to win the 50-50 style fight. This is the one where I think it goes towards Elkins. So I'll play him again. Hopefully he ends up as dog money.
Pingwan Liu takes on Jonathan Martinez, 8,700 Pingwan Liu or Liu Pingwan. Whatever, I don't know. It's his Chinese names. I don't know which goes in which order. Every website's a little bit different, so we're gonna go with Pingwan Liu. Jonathan Martinez is 7,500 and plus 120. This fight just flat out of the gate. High decision number here. It's like minus 245 for this fight to go to decision. So take that into account when you are looking to construct your lineups. I haven't actually done tape on these two guys quite yet. I don't know if you have any hot takes on this one because I surely do not.
Yeah, Pingyan Liu was a good finisher prior to coming to the UFC. Since he's come to the UFC 2-0, and hasn't looked phenomenal. Hasn't looked like he's a finisher by no stretch of the imagination. Decent wrestling, able to get guys down, able to kind of control them, but he's still only 26 years old. He's going to develop. He's going to come a long way. Interesting note on him is just like his training partner and friend Song Yadong, they're two young kids out of Embo in China. Embo grooms them, gets them lots of experience, and when they get to that mid-20 range and they have the experience ready, they get sent to alpha male. So I mean, we all saw what happened to the Weasel Perez last weekend, Alejandro versus Sung Yadong. It's like, damn, this guy's making massive improvements. He's getting better, and he could potentially be at least some type of a threat to the bottom end of the division in the near future. But Liu doesn't really fight like his good old friend here. I mean, we got Song Yadong who's like a Terminator on the feet. Pingyuan Liu's not really that good standing, but he's got the advantage on the ground. If this, for whatever reason, ends up as a stand-up battle, I think I would give it to Jonathan Martinez. But Martinez's problem is that he's kind of undersized, and quite frankly, he's got no defensive grappling. If you have no defensive grappling, you're going to be in trouble here. We got the Chinese guy out of alpha male. We know what the game plan is. We know he's probably going to go look to clinch him, and we know that he's probably going to get a little bit of a pop from the crowd. Martinez won't get none of that. But if I'm Jonathan Martinez, and I can't wrestle, my first two fights in the UFC are Andre Sukumantath and Wuji Buren.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, perfect. I can't really wrestle. I'll strike with you. He's taken down collectively 6 times between both of them. Just like, if you're not wrestling with those guys, it ain't going to get any better. So they gave him a bit of a camp, and that's appreciated. But ultimately, we got a guy in Martinez that's 0-2 versus the Chinese prospect that's 2-0. I know you're not big into storylines, and every fight is not a storyline. But we have the one guy that's local because he's training there. He's 2-0. He's young. We're trying to get into this Asian demographic. Give him a guy that's literally one fight away from being cut.
And you're
Jonathan
thinking
Martinez.
he's going to hammer takedowns?
He's going to hammer the
Then
takedowns.
he gets interesting at 8,700.
Yeah, but the problem
The
is
odds
that
are bad, so that will probably make him low owned too.
he's low owned because the price is not exactly great. The 8,700 on somebody that most people, you know what? You're not the only guy that hasn't done his tape study on him. Most people just don't have the time. It's a 12-fight card, and it's a 12-fight card in a weekend that we got a Tuesday night contender series and we got a Thursday night PFL. So, and I mean, if you're really greasy, you got a Friday LFA as well. So yeah, just like tape study goes out the window in some spots. But I mean, Martinez's defensive grab. Listen, if this fight stays standing, he's got a shot. He really does. I just don't think Liu's going to go in with that game plan. I think he's going to do what he's been doing. And even though he didn't look great in his last time out against Martin Day, this represents that same level, that same challenge. Get the takedowns, dominate this guy in the ground. If Martinez doesn't get up and he's only getting a few takedowns, 87 is still a bad price. If Martinez is able to scramble and make this interesting and Liu's got to work a little bit, then maybe he could earn up to that 87.
We got Brianna Van Buren taking on Olivia Souza. Brianna Van Buren, 8,200 minus 115. A favorite. Souza, 8,000 minus 105. Is this Brianna Van Buren some sort of world beater or something?
She won an Invicta one night tournament.
Should I be excited?
I don't think so.
Like
no. Souza's. I can't call her
getting
my
disrespected
bebe,
now.
but like I ain't.
She was a Invicta stallion.
She's been my cash cow.
Yeah.
I've made lots of money on Livian Souza.
What's up with this line then? Minus 105. Like it's a pickle.
Yeah, this is what I saw it as. And if
'Cause
this
I'm
is
thinking,
the case,
like,
if this is the case,
I've been looking at this being like, why wouldn't I bet Souza?
Yeah. I've been kind of, I mean, me and our friend A-Rap, we're calling it a curse. The second fight on the card the last like couple of weeks. I'm getting fucking
we
torched.
had a big one on that one.
Yeah. Well, see, that's going back weeks, but like the last two cards in particular, like.
Who was the second fight of his last card?
If you think about it, I got sparks on it. But you could go back and check. Anyways, regardless.
Oh, it was Nardiev.
Yeah. Like these guys are all supposed to be winning, and for whatever reason, they're not winning. I'm hoping this is the move on Souza. I'm hoping this is why we get the good price tag, right? Is that here's a girl that looks awesome in Invicta, outside of losing the title to Angela Hill, which was a split in a 5-rounder. She's looked fantastic. Ayaka Hamasaki, huge victory there. Signs to the UFC after beating Mirandin, who was 9-0, beats Alex Chambers in a minute 20. Now everybody's going to be getting on her. She's been my cash cow, but now everyone's seeing the skills and they're going to get on her. It's that fight with Sarah Froda. Froda was on short notice, is a nobody, and gave her one hell of a go. In that third round, Souza was tired, which is surprising because she's a 5-round fighter and just unbelievably tired. She is a split. I'm not going to say she's lucky to get the split. I'm glad she got the split, but it's a close fight in that I thought she won the first 2 rounds, but she's given some serious problems. So now you think here's a girl that might be overvalued. Froda come out of left field, short nose replacement with no reputation, and she's giving her a go. Well, we got Banks. Banks is like a 6-fight winning streak. She just won an Invicta one-night tournament. She looks good. She's got good boxing. Why not take the play on her? The problem there is that Sarah Froda I just want to make sure I get the exact number right here. Sarah Froda is 5'6" and came into that fight
Super overweight.
missing weight by 8 fucking pounds. Okay. She was gigantic. So Souza won the first 2 rounds and very understandably, Paul,
Got tired.
gassed the fuck out, right? And Froda just kept marching forward, marched her down, made her look human. Now we got Brianna Banks, who stands at 5 feet tall.
Brianna Van Buren.
Sorry, yeah, I don't want to say Banks. That might be a
Brianna
porn
Banks,
star.
the porn star.
That's my baby. I'm kidding. Brianna Van Buren, my bad. We want to see Banks get beat up. Brianna Van Buren.
Oh, come on.
I said wouldn't. With Van Buren, though, it's that she's 5 feet tall, so she's giving up a massive reach advantage. She's giving up the size. And with Souza's way better on the ground. I believe, good black belt. Souza's wrestling, good wrestling. I'm in on it. I'm giving her the wrestling advantage. And as far as the striking battle goes, I think because I believe Van Buren's a southpaw, and if you watch any of Souza's fights, she's huge on the body kick, and that body kick will be opened right up for her. So I see her having the faster hands, beating her with the body kick, beating her to the body. If she wants to get the takedown, grind this girl up. Van Buren also has some big, like, long winning streak, but she took off, she kind of retired, came back in 2018, and is kind of getting, that's why she joins this one-night tournament. I got to kickstart my career. Beats lowly competition like Kaylin Curran. And now you're going to jump in there against the former Invicta champion?
She faced in the finals.
Yeah. So
She's got to win over Jamie Moyle.
you're just explaining my point here. I just mean, when you tell me, if you don't tell me the price on this and you just say figure it out for yourself, like Souza, given the bad performance in her last time out, like got to be 165 to minus 185. If it gets steamed, it'll get a 200, but I wouldn't play it for 200. You're giving me even money? Yeah, no, for sure. I'll take her. And if the curse is real, then we're going to find out come Saturday, but I'm going to go with
Second
Souza.
fight curse. We'll find out.
Yeah.
We will find out on Saturday night. We've got, and finally we got Vince Morales, Benito Lopez. 8,500. Vince Morales, he's a minus 140 favorite. And Benito Lopez is 7,700 and plus 120. Who you got?
Yeah, this is the one I don't have like a great read on. And the only reason I say that is Benito Lopez just burns himself out. He goes for the finish right off the bat. So he's bang or bust. He's either going to go out there and for $7,700, he's going to do what you want him to do in a GPP. He is going to attempt to get that first round finish. If he doesn't get it, he'll attempt it in the second round, but eventually he will succumb to his own cardio. He's young. He makes glaring mistakes. He's fun to watch. He's out of alpha male. But like he leaves a lot to the imagination. Vince Morales, meanwhile, just beat Ayman Zahabi, and like I thought it was a bum performance. But it was Ayman Zahabi not doing anything. And I mean not doing anything.
Ayman Zahabi's a completely busted Canadian prospect at this point.
So busted. So to be perfectly honest, I think Vince Morales getting that win over Ayman Zahabi, it looks good, and that's what gives him favorite status, and that's what gives him 8,500. I think skill-wise, Benito Lopez is the guy. The thing is that Morales is durable enough that he could just stretch this out into the later rounds. If he stretches this to the later rounds, is Benito Lopez just going to crumple over? I don't know. But I think I'm going to roll with Benito Lopez, he's alpha male. I'm going to take him. We got PINGYUAN Liu, he's alpha male. I'm going to take him. ELKINS, alpha male. I'm going to take him. FILI, alpha male. I'm going to take him. Josh Emmett, alpha male. I'm not going to take him. And Uriah, fuck no. But there's a lot of alpha male fighters on this card, and they're gonna get some good rubs. They've got some okay matchups. Again, this one, I'm just going to tell you to pass, but I have hardly any dogs here. So Benito Lopez is plus 120 and is 7,700. I'll do a little more tape research, and I expect Benito Lopez to fight his ass off until he gets tired. I hope that's not the case, but remember his fight on Contenders versus Steven Peterson? It's like,
this ain't no card.
In the first round, Benito Lopez looks awesome. In the third round, it's like you're getting your ass kicked by Steven Peterson in the stand-up exchanges.
This card is not the type of card to be like, oh, I'm going to hit a 12-leg parlay on this.
No.
Like,
we'll try, but I mean,
throw a buck on that or whatever. A small wager for you, but like it's tough sledding for sure. Don't you usually do your Pogie Rub parlay? Yeah, well, Pogie Rub parlay. Not a whole lot of dogs on this card, but we're gonna go with Aspen Ladd, Ricky Simon, Mirsad Bektic, Carl Roberson, Marvin Vettori, Mike Rodriguez, Andre Fili, Juliana Pena, Darren Elkins, PINGYUAN Liu, Livian Renata Souza, and Benito Lopez. In terms of plays that I actually do like, I don't mind Ladd. They're giving me it was a good price, certainly if you got on it right off the bat. Ricky Simon's not a good price. Bektic is an okay price.
VETTORI is a good price. FILI is a good price. ELKINS is a good price.
There's some price.
I like Pena. Again, there'll be more research to be done, and I'll tweet it out because again, there has to be. I'm one of those guys that's trying to research 4 cars this week, so I feel fairly confident, but there's more to be done. But Chris Curtis has opened up on that PFL for Thursday like a 3-1 underdog. Like Chris Curtis, my boy, action man. He's in awesome shape right now, training full time in Vegas. Like, could make it happen. So if I'm actually that confident about it,
a lot of Russian guys fall on those cards. Just saying,
they all come in stock. Who is it? Can't pronounce that name. There's OV at the end.
There's three Magomeds in there.
There's an OV at the end. Yeah, 5-1. And the other guy, is he better? Okay, 6-1. Oh, this guy's no good. 3.5 to 1. You know, like it makes no sense. But Action Man gonna get his bread.
He retired though after not getting his contract originally, right?
He fucking Shawn Michaels sweet chin music's this motherfucker in the face. Brady folds, right? And it's like, oh yeah, how you knock? And he had a broken hand. That's why he super kicked him, and that's why he kind of took the 3rd round off. But I guess the finish and like no contract. And you want to know the interesting thing from that? Every single guy on that episode fought in the UFC, the winners and the losers, except for Chris Curtis,
who was arguably the best guy out of the bunch.
Yeah, but anyways, I know Chris Curtis, and I have him on social media, obviously, and he talks a lot of shit about management, so it's like they don't like him. So PFL comes and says, we'll give you $1 million if you can win this tournament, and it's like, Action Man's got the skill set to run through this. Anyways, if he was even money, we'd be talking differently here, but 3-1?
Plus 300?
Anyways, I'll tweet it out. I'll tweet it out if that's who I'm going to go out with and I have the degree of confidence. I tweeted him out last time. He was minus 220, but you remember that first PFL card of the season. Like everybody was at 8-1, 9-1. He was the only value play and he creamed the guy. All so right. I'm hoping for more out of my boy, the Action Man.
That wraps it up for us. Thank you to Cody Saftic, breaking down the fights with me as always. It's our last time with Chad.
Oh, shit.
This is Chad's last time. Switching our show. He's moving back home.
Chad, then
back to his old hometown.
I'm going to put Chad on the spot here. Chad, you just yell your answer over here. Who's your baby, Chad?
He's got a girlfriend.
Paige Van Zandt. What a stock answer.
Her name's Jocelyn.
Jocelyn Liebarger? Oh, Chad. Oh, no. That's his baby? No.
Thanks to Chad for all of the help that he's done for us over the last 8-9 months.
Been a super good dude,
since like October or so. We do really truly appreciate Chad. That's CHHADD. I actually finally nailed his Twitter account. I'll give him a follow on Twitter. Thank you again, Chad, for all the hard work that you have done for us here. So for Cody and Chad, I'm Paul saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience! Experience!